Hi, everyone. Welcome to Talk Tech with Data Dave. I am Alexis, your host of this podcast, and I'm here today with Data Dave to answer your questions about all things technology, all things data, all things cloud, all things IT, all things AI, and all things D3 Clarity. Hi, everyone. I'm busting into the podcast to let you know that D3 Clarity, specifically our very own Data Dave, will be at DGIQ and EDW this year, moderating a powerful discussion panel called The Human Side of Data, along with a few panelists who you might recognize as previous guests of Data Dave Dives Deeper, Paula Reese, Karen Lopez, and Cher Fox. The panel will dig into ethics, bias, and the human factors behind every dataset. It's all happening May 6th, 2025 at 3:45 p.m. at DGIQ and EDW in Anaheim, California. Because in a world of algorithms and AI, human judgment still matters. Talk Tech with Data Dave is proudly brought to you by D3 Clarity, your partner in AI, data, and cloud innovation. At D3 Clarity, we offer industry-leading solutions designed to transform your business and drive lasting success. From tailored consulting services to cutting-edge technology strategies, we're here to take your operations to the next level. Ready to unlock your tech potential? Learn more at d3clarity.com. How are you, Dave?
I'm very well, Alexis. I'm feeling good today. So thank you. Thank you for that introduction. How are you?
I am good. It is a little bit colder here than I want it to be for us heading into the summer, but it's okay. It's okay. But I'm pumped because today we have another listener question.
Excellent.
Our question today comes from a listener named Brendan McHugh. And Brendan sent in this question specifically to you, Dave, via LinkedIn. He said, as a CTO, what are some current cloud integration projects that you're excited about? Before we answer the question, I'm going to do my normal pitch. If you have a question for Data Dave, please send us your questions. Just like Brendan did, you can send us a question via LinkedIn. You can send us an email at talktech@d3clarity.com, or you can send us a question right on the D3 Clarity website. Any of those are great ways to send questions to Data Dave. So, Dave, I'm going to say that question one more time. Thanks, Brendan, for sending that in. As a CTO, what are some current cloud integration projects that you're excited about?
That's a interesting question. And I know that's a bit of a cop out, right? But my basic answer to that one is, what is a project that is exciting that isn't a cloud integration project,
At
right?
this point, yeah.
I mean, that becomes my fundamental answer. As D3 Clarity, I think I'm working on 4 or 5 projects right now, all of which are cloud integration projects. I don't think I have one that's not a cloud integration project.
I mean, that was how D3 Clarity started, right? You guys were like data guys who thought the future of data is in the cloud, and so we have to combine the two.
And that was, yes, that was it. We were largely data guys. We were operating a lot on premise in that time, and it was more convenient to take some of it to the cloud, and the cloud has just completely blossomed, right, and
Hmm.
exploded. And now it's rare that we do a data integration project that isn't a cloud project, right? And from a cloud infrastructure project, but also is the data hosted on the cloud,
Right.
right? From organizations that are our clients that run their entire business off the cloud and don't have a data center anymore. So everything is sitting in Amazon or Azure or whatever. To I did an analytics project, a dashboard, interesting dashboard, just doing some BI predictive analytics the other day. And of course, they wanted it mapped out by location. Well, the obvious thing with the location is to put it on a map,
Right.
As soon as you put it on a map, you're integrating cloud data using Google Maps or Amazon's version or something, right? So as soon as you do that, you're doing a cloud integration project because you're taking your data that's by city and saying, where is this city in a geospatial land? How do I do this?
Hmm.
Right? So that's a really fun construct, right? We're doing some pretty exciting ones in some of the oil and gas industry, and we have done a number of those from, things like risk and e ecological impact, which again is geospatial and mapping related, uh, to digital twins and structured analysis of offshore devices and things like offshore installations and things like that.
Okay, hold on. I'm gonna stop you. You said digital twins. I just saw an article on digital twins the other day, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting word. Now you've said it, and now I think I should probably know what it means. Can you explain that to me and maybe our listeners? What is a digital twin?
So a digital twin is a basically taking a real world environment and building a digital representation of that real world environment.
Okay.
So if you think about it, a digital twin, you could build a digital twin of a factory and you would build a 3D model of that factory and then overlay, right, from an engineering drawing or from a building of that 3D factory, you could overlay various pieces of data that make the installation real.
Oh,
So I'll give you a really simple, a really fun little example that I did. I built a digital twin of my kitchen the other week, a little while ago. And what I did was I took, I think, something like 100 photographs of my kitchen, right? The inside of my kitchen, and built a photogrammic model of that to be a photorealistic 3D model of my kitchen, right?
okay.
And then what I could do is I put a database behind that and put inventory levels for the cupboards on it so that now you could walk into this digital twin and you could see how many plates were in the cupboards, right? But you could also go in and see. I then put a pot on the stove and said, okay, I
Yes.
put a modeled a pot and put it on the stove and then heated that pot up and the pot changed color with the temperature of the 3D model pot changed color with the temperature of the pot on the stove. So,
So that's really fun, but like in a business standpoint, like that could be like super, like if you were in a factory,
oh yeah,
although that could be like super duper fun. Not
right.
just fun, that would be super useful.
It's super useful and super interesting, right? So you think of a warehouse where you could walk into the air warehouse and see on your iPad as you hold the iPad out and plot this now into augmented reality, and you're suddenly seeing the inventory levels across your warehouse
Yeah,
or the pressure and temperature levels on a pipeline in a factory or an oil refinery or an offshore rig or whatever,
digital
right?
twin.
Because you're tying the real-time digital data and sensor feeds to now the twin of what it looks like in real time, in real space.
So like my probably best example of that would be like Pokemon Go. Like I play
Yeah,
Pokemon Go
exactly.
because I'm a big old dweeb. And like there's augmented reality in Pokemon Go and like it maps out my streets for me
Yes,
and I can like see things in the Pokemon or like in the road with me or in the street with me where I'm walking and
exactly.
sit on
So
top of my dog. That's a digital twin of my circumstances with the Pokemon, right?
essentially, yes. A digital twin is normally a little more um, detailed than Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go is classic augmented reality, so you're just projecting a fictional image over the top of the physical image,
Okay.
right? So that's a little more augmented reality. A digital twin is when you're really plotting out the structure so you can deconstruct it.
Okay, that makes sense. I follow you there.
A digital twin of your car, for example, would allow you to peel off the hood of the engine and look at the temperature of every piece and the nature of the car, the way that and walk through, make yourself tiny and walk through the engine,
That would be fun.
right? And look at all the parts and pieces and that sort of thing. And
Mhm.
that's where you really get into a digital twin. It is a digital representation of twin of the real world, so to speak.
Okay, so that's those are all like cool examples of kind of cloud integration projects that D3 Clarity is working on right now. And then obviously you made a digital twin of your kitchen because you apparently also are a giant dweeb, which
That's
I
right,
appreciate.
exactly.
And that's why
Basically,
we have
yes.
this podcast.
And
Yeah.
and because it was really me experimenting with, okay, if somebody asked me to do it with something huge, then how do I do it with
Mhm.
collect all the data for doing it and analyze the data for doing it with something huge? Because we were doing the sort of live streams and the what equipment really exists in this factory and various
Yeah,
other things to describe that. And I was sort of, okay, what's the end state? I've got to be able to picture the end state so I can do this project right. So I built myself a little one.
that's awesome. But
Um,
like in the real world, not in the real world, but I mean in like in the current world, in the big picture, there's a lot of cloud integration projects going on. Like
oh,
Pokemon Go, for example, is a cloud integration life project in and of itself.
it was. Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
And if you think about all the, you know, if you project forwards for a minute and start thinking about, we're talking about robotics in domestic situations and so on. And my opinion is we're a long way at the moment from AI even coming close to being as sophisticated as the human brain and that sort of thing, especially with the amount of information and power that we carry around. Therefore, any appliance that is AI is by definition a cloud integration project because it's getting the data from the cloud, it's looking at the reference databases on the cloud, and it's running AI models in the cloud. So
Mhm.
every time you use your phone and look up your Apple AI guy or ask
Yeah.
Apple a question, that is a cloud integration project. Every one of those is based on a cloud integration project. So I think there's some absolutely fascinating cloud integration projects and exciting ones going on from, self-driving cars to the expansion of using Waze and Google Maps and other things and while you're driving to knowing the weather forecast, right? And getting recommendations on whether you should buy an umbrella or not because it's going to rain in the next 4 hours and you're 1,000 miles from home, right? I don't know. There's a lot in that around different things, and these are kind of trivial examples. But then you look just under the covers of what we're seeing, and all of these are cloud integration projects, and they're all,
Yeah.
if they're not happening, it's not far from just turn your head and look over there, and there's something equivalent to what I just said. Whether it's the
Mhm.
umbrella example or some other similar example, what kind of shoes are you going to run in, etc. All these things are out there, and they're all happening, and so the cloud integrate. What I'm excited about cloud integration. Yeah, I think the opportunity is tremendous. There's risk there. We've talked about that in a number of
Mhm.
um, podcasts, but the opportunity and the exciting projects are massive and all over the place. And like I say, we're doing a number from ones that excite me are the ones I'm deeply involved in, right? So,
Mhm.
things like the digital twinning, things like analysis and AI for predictive and analytics. I can't share most of them because they were under NDA clearly, but there's a lot of that going on. But rarely do we see a project these days that isn't at some level a cloud integration project.
Yeah. I think that's the long and short of this idea, this picture. I I can't think of anything that we do at D3 Clarity that's not to some extent a cloud integration project because we are a remote organization that runs on the cloud. Like we as an organization run on the cloud.
Yes, we
We
do.
work with our clients on cloud. Like even our clients who run on-prem, we are literally working with them to get them into the cloud.
Right.
Um, there's this story that we tell amongst ourselves about one of our Preston. The listeners know Preston. He's been on the pod before. Preston going to one of our clients and walking into their server room and like looking at their like hard server and being the one person that knew what to do with their hard server because we've been working with them so long and integrating them or in migrating them that they don't really have people there anymore who care about an on-prem server. But
No.
Preston was like, I know what I'm doing. I've got one of these running in my closet when I need to. Like, let
Right.
me figure this out. And he was able to, but we've been working with them to get them off of an on-premise situation that they were able to they don't really need it anymore.
That's right. And that's more and more the case. And
Yeah.
a lot of the organizations that we work with, when we're working with accountants and so on, they don't necessarily know where their data is anymore. So I was working with one of our clients, and we're inherently dealing with 2 or 3 clouds at any one point in time, because one of their applications is in Amazon, another one's in Azure, another one's on a proprietary cloud, and a couple of others. And it's rare that we aren't dealing with cloud data and cloud integration and some of the interesting technologies that brings with it, and some of the interesting data sets that brings with it, because it opens up Pandora's box of, I can look at maps now. I didn't used to be able to look at topographical maps in that kind of analysis. I can look at commodities and auctions and sales and things and histories of things and I want to do the analysis of okay, I'm thinking about buying one of these. Can I see its entire sales history throughout its life?
Mhm.
Well, if it's a collectible, then yes, you can,
Yeah,
right? If it's a car, yeah, you absolutely can. So
for
now
sure.
extract that into business and it's a large piece of equipment or a piece of land or whatever it might be. I can suddenly start to say, okay, not only do I want to see the geographic location of this piece of land, I want to see the boundaries, the legal boundaries of this land plotted on a graph, and I want to see the history of ownership for the last 100 years.
Right.
Right? It's a little bit of a non-trivial project for a lot of structures, but it's not impossible.
That's what my husband does for a living, literally. He he
Okay.
he looks at maps and he figures out who has owned them for the last 100 years.
Right.
Yeah, and that's his job.
But there's nothing to stop you doing that and looking at that as a cloud integration project now as well. More and more of this data is becoming available on the cloud and available in public domain.
Yeah. Well, Brendan, we really want to thank you for submitting that question. I hope we answered it for you in a way that makes you feel good. Dave, thanks for being here today and answering that question on the podcast. Listeners out there, I said it once, I'll say it again. Please submit your questions to us at talktech@d3clarity.com. You can also reach out to either one of us on LinkedIn or submit your questions right on the D3 Clarity website. Dave, it has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Alexis.
If you have a question for Data Dave, reach out to us at talktech@d3clarity.com. We'll be happy to answer your question in the podcast. Thanks. Talk Tech with Data Dave is proudly brought to you by D3 Clarity, your partner in AI, data, and cloud innovation. At D3 Clarity, we offer industry-leading solutions designed to transform your business and drive lasting success. From tailored consulting services to cutting-edge technology strategies, we're here to take your operations to the next level. Ready to unlock your tech potential? Learn more at d3clarity.com.